don't know if I'm going to be able to do this because of the time and the space and all, but this is a re-recording. Um, it's right. So I did a worst take segment followed by a Twitter segment. In the Twitter segment, I saw a comic that I really wanted to screenshot. So, and I did do this a couple of days ago as well, where I accidentally hit the webcam button instead of the screenshot button because I just see a camera and think, oh, it must be the screenshot button. But I wasn't wearing nice trousers, and I didn't want anyone to see that. So I decided to continue with the video and say, oh, I'll just edit it out. I'll cut it out. But I forgot how. I think I was using a different app to cut it out. So instead, what I did was I cropped the video because my Samsung Gallery, you can do that. But recording that was a nightmare as well because, like, I started to do it, then my brother came in with his "I'm tired" joke in air quotes, followed. Then I forgot all about the video, decided to revise my theory, then eat my dinner. Then I came back to do the video, but my phone was 13%, so I couldn't really finish it. Anyway, why isn't this playing? What's happening here? Why isn't it playing? It hasn't even been 24 hours and there's another video. So this time it's The Returned, which I don't understand why she's doing that because she's already done it. But this one is quite relevant to me because we are doing The Returned soon. Because when we come back, we're going to be doing Humans, and then immediately after Humans will be The Returned. Unless he does what he did for the music videos, where instead of doing both of them, he does one and just go piss off to another subject. No offense to the man, and that's what he's done with. We were supposed to have done. What's it? Formation by Beyonce, then Riptide by Vance Joy, but we haven't done Riptide. We went on to something else instead. I don't remember what it was. I think it was. It might have been Black Panther. So, I think it was Formation, then Black Panther, which maybe he went on to that because, both of them are black. Then went on to Daniel Blake just finish off the movies. And you'd think that after that he'd go on to Riptide, but no. He went on to Humans, I think. So anyway, apparently there's something to do with gender representation of women and The Returned a lot. Also at the start of the video, she put up a text saying, how many times am I going to say typical in this video? So you've noticed that you keep repeating the same things over and over. So because there's a female character, handful of female characters who are polite people, they are not mean in any way. That is a stereotypical representation of gender. Or maybe the writers just wrote these characters as nice people instead of writing everyone as a prick. I'm trying to think of a show where everyone's an asshole. I guess The Boys, but whatever. The women in the show are presented as emotional. Well, I haven't seen the show yet, but it does seem to be quite an emotional show. It is a drama, and from what you've said, it also seems like that it's a mostly female cast. So it's not that they're representing women as emotional, or just the women in the show as emotional. It's the fact that they've decided to hire mostly women, and it's also a very dramatic show. So obviously there's going to be a lot of crying scenes in it. The characters aren't crying because they're women. Like, they're not trying to say that. They're crying because it's emotional. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, because whatever. Men are shown patronizing women, not believing them until they see it themselves. Well, we're talking about, as far as I know, the show is all about zombies. Basically, like, the dead have risen, and it's not like The Walking Dead. It's more like iZombie, if anyone has seen that show. So, the dead have come back, and it's about the effects of that. So, like, remember in the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead where Lori was sleeping with Shane? I think that guy's name was Shane. Because she thought that Rick was dead, but then it turns out he isn't dead. And that affects the affair. Because now she's thinking, she feels guilty because... And this is the scene. So, you need to be more specific, because unless it's something other than zombies, then, if anyone, man or woman, goes up to me and says that, my dead nan, I don't have a dead nan, I'm just going to say that as an example, my dead family member has come back, risen from the grave, I'm not going to believe them. It's because that just doesn't, that person will seem crazy to me. It's not because I am a sexist. Lena is shown in a sex scene with Frederick. Sexualization of women / teens may be due to France's more open and liberal approach to sex on screen. Oh, don't talk to me about France and sex. But you're saying that it's females being sexualized, but it's a sex scene between a man and a woman. So, how come men are being sexualized? So, apparently the sex scene is between a couple of 15-year-olds, but, this isn't exclusive to French television. I mean, not necessarily 15, but the characters in Skins are 17 and having sex with each other. There's a scene where a character has sex with another character, and then the first character gets paid by the second character, which implies that they are a prostitute. It doesn't imply it. It confirms it. Lucy is shown receiving money for sex by Jerome. This represents women as sex objects, and men as using women for their own pleasure. Or, hear me out, it just represents the singular character on screen as being lonely and needing, sex. Or, if this character is married, maybe it could, connote to the audience that their marriage is crumbling. It doesn't necessarily mean that all men use women as sex objects. Like, it is quite sexist that you would automatically assume that. There are men meeting churches, really. I mean, I've never seen a female pastor or priest or anything like that on screen, because I don't think that that's how the church works. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen it in real life. I haven't seen it on TV or movies or anything else. Right, so because the men don't cry, this must be toxic masculinity, because it must be that the writers and the channel and everyone involved are saying that men just should not show emotion publicly at all. Well, that's not necessarily true. Like, unless the writers come out and specifically say that that's the intention, then you're best off assuming that that is not the intention. Although I can't really get a point out of this because I have yet to see the show. I'm going to wait until we watch it in class. I have something else to say, but I don't remember what it is. I guess just for now I'll say, shut up about toxic masculinity. Like, if there's a male character on screen and they don't show emotion, yeah, it does make them a flat character, but there's not really anything wrong with it. I mean, you would probably call Jack Bauer a representation of toxic masculinity, but he does cry. Like, spoilers for 24, but at the end of season 3, he breaks down and cries because he cut his partner's hand off. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but it's been like 4 years since the scene 24. Some men show an aggressive side, such as Mr. Costas, Simon, and Sergei. Well, that's quite hypocritical, considering you just said that the men in the show don't show emotion. Anger is an emotion. So apparently, the third guy in the text there, Serge, she pronounced the name as Serge. That doesn't seem right to me. It seems where I guess it should be Sergei. I get that there being I in Sergei, but it just seems makes more sense to me, although she has seen the show.
I meant to say Sergei, not Sergei, but whatever.
Seen the show? I haven't. I'm going to assume he's correct. Some adults are shown as responsible, mature, and dependable. Really? It's not as if they're adults. I mean, yeah, there are child adults in the world, but I'd say for the most part, most people who are above the age of 18 are mature. Why is this a relevant talking point? Why do people have to write this in an ad? Why do I have to write this in an essay? Should basically consider themselves adults are shown as clever. Yes, because they went through, like, what? I don't know how it works in France, but over here it's at least 12 years, or 11 or 12 years of education, from P1 up to year 12. And some others have A levels, and some others have university or something else. So, yes, of course they're educated. The adults don't know what's going on. Yes, because the dead have returned to life. Of course they don't know what's going on. The intention of the writers of showing the adults as helpless is to make it more scary. It's a horror? Well, I thought it was a drama. I thought it was like, I'll say humans, but with zombies instead of robots. Am I wrong? I'm going to assume that this is one of those shows where they write it for anyone above the age of, 15. But for the people who are teenagers watching it, it's a teen drama for them. Like, there's a bit of teen drama in Humans, there's a bit of teen drama in iZombie. Stuff like that. Like, Veronica Mars as well. Because that's more teen drama than Humans in this. So, if you're writing it as even very slightly a teen drama, you need to have it portray teenagers realistically. And unfortunately, a realistic portrayal of teenagers now includes drinking and doing drugs and having sex. Children are shown as vulnerable. Yes, they're children. They don't know what's going on. Of course, they're vulnerable. Why why would you expect them not to be? Because, I mean, you know, the only person who wouldn't call a child vulnerable is a pedophile. So apparently, the child that she is specifically talking about is also represented the same way that the kid from Brightburn is kind of like very mysterious. Once again, haven't seen the show, so I don't know what's up with the child. I'll just have to wait and see it and then comment on it when I do. The show lacks any obvious ethnic diversity, which that does surprise me considering France is a really diverse place. But it doesn't automatically make the writers racist. It's just when you hire someone and they're playing someone part of a family and the entire family is shown on screen, you need to hire people of the same race to play the family. Like, it wouldn't make any sense if you have, I know it's a French show, but I'm going to pick, like, American people. It wouldn't make sense if you had, like, me as the son of Danny Glover. Like, and I get that there's, like, you can't just say that Danny Glover's my stepdad or Danny Glover's wife had an affair. And I get that, like, there's Shameless where Liam, I think, he's black when both Monica and is it Monica the mom's name? I haven't seen Shameless in a while. But Frank and Frank's wife, ex-wife, whatever, they're both white, but yet Liam is black. To do that as a joke. So, point is, I'm guessing that the first person in the cast was some celebrity, big French actor, and that person is white. So, they have to hire exclusively white people for all the other members of that family. And if every single character in the show is part of the same family, you can't have a black person in the show at all.
Okay, you can have characters that are adopted or something like that, but I don't know.
At all. Very little diversity in France in real life. No, there's not. Like, in a couple of years, you could probably argue that there's no diversity in France because they're all being Arab. Right? Because there's essentially no border. I don't mean to talk politics, but France, it's very, very easy to get in because the borders are just almost non-existent. So, like, it's got to be close to 50% Arab by now, if not over 50%. Okay, she did make a point there that it's the suburbs of France. It's not Paris. Paris is obviously going to be where most of the minorities are. So fair enough, but she did just say that the writers did this intentionally because they hate black people. No, they don't hate black people. They just exclusively hired white people, and they didn't give it a second thought because we don't spend every waking moment thinking about how, because we don't know any black people are racist. Unlike you. Black people are almost never cast in media products. Is that so? I'm looking at my PlayStation right now. I have Mafia, which has a black main character who is voiced by a black man.
I met in Mafia 3.
God of War, where the main character is voiced by a black man. I've got Seek. There's a lot of diversity in Seek. In fact, the picture for it right now, because when I'm recording this video, the season is Vector Glare. It's a black character. If I go on to like Netflix, I'll find like I think they have Power on Netflix and Empire. They are almost exclusively black casts. Also, if you're talking about exclusively France, District 13 has black characters in it, especially District 13 too. So the zombies are represented as different to the alive people. Yes, of course, it would be weird to. In fact, it would be unrealistic writing if the dead comes back and all the characters are basically just like, whatever. So yes, you have to represent them as ugly. But please, for the love of God, do not say that this is a metaphor for the treatment of black people. So they aren't really rotting. They look quite human in the first episode, but as the show goes on, they become more and more rotten. Yeah, The Walking Dead does the exact same thing. In fact, it's gotten to the point where, and I do not trust Matthew Patrick at all anymore. But when I used to watch him all the time, he did make a video talking about how they were decomposing on The Walking Dead, and that
This was about 7 years ago.
And that he thinks that that's how the show is going to end, with it just basically ending because the walkers have become so decomposed that they're no longer afraid, which I don't know about the show, but that is how the comics ended. It just jumped like 20 years.
World Beyond is how the comic ends. Just it was one big issue when World Beyond is a 2-season show. But I don't know much about World Beyond because I haven't seen it, because The Walking Dead show has always been crap.
Okay, something that I neglected to mention, because I mean, I had an answer, but it just didn't feel right, despite the fact that I am obviously right about this. But the zombies are discriminated against in the show. Yeah, well, yes, because when you think zombies, you think, they're going to eat your brains. So, yeah, of course they're discriminated against, and yeah, apparently that does end up happening in the show. Okay, so yes, of course there's a moral to the show, but what is it? Because if it's, the only thing I can think of is that, don't be racist. Well, yeah, I mean, really, who is anymore? So, I don't know. So the writers never came out and actually specified what it's an allegory for, but people specify it's about refugees. No. Considering
I meant speculate.
that, as I said, France is a very diverse place.
Yeah, this is basically just, the system hates me. My brother or sister in Christ, you are the system.
French people hate Muslims so much. Why is there so many Muslims in France? Because if all the French people hated Muslims, then you think they would have kicked them out of the country by now. Also, it does seem quite discriminatory against French people for you to say that they're all racist. I was initially just going to have the worst take segment, but then I looked at the time and realised that I might as well just do the Twitter video. There's no reviews today because all I've been doing is watching the videos on my YouTube watch later and stuff like that. So I can finally get rid of them. Anyway, his Twitter is of 18 past 4 p.m. on Saturday the 20th. Yeah, of August. Excuse me, 2022. 25 years old, the biggest rock band got the perfect album. Excuse me, nobody's ready for. I had a feeling it was Oasis, but what album did they release in 1997? Because. Excuse my throat making that sound. But I don't even know why I'm looking for it, because I don't know any of the Oasis albums. I don't even know any of the Oasis songs, except for obviously Wonderwall, because I'm a fan of Blur. Cax Pears. I'm not gonna look at that one until I'm doing Paul. Biden sent 775 million more to Ukraine yesterday. Biden, you usually donating 40 billion. What are you doing? This is offensive. This is a shame that you're only sending 775 million. Basically, a weekly phenomenon. We spend our taxpayer dollars on a fight that is not ours, and doing so without any limit. Why are we allowing this? Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's not gonna come back, is it? In fact, there it is, actually. But I'll see if I can. Yeah, it's gone. Oh, here it is. The NHS blew $1 million of taxpayers' money on LGBT and rainbow cake parties last year. Let that sink in. Pedo Putin. I mean, because Putin is an absolute fascist, he could just be assassinating the man for insulting him. I'm not denying that Putin's a pedo. He might, in fact, since he's a top politician, he most likely is. Since they're all pedos. He is dangerous. And why do I have a feeling it's Udo or
That's not around the time that I accidentally turned on the webcam. It's just that because it was like a half-hour video. It's hard to cut it to the bit that you want on a phone. And like if I had access to a computer, I could cut it down to the millisecond that I wanted it at. Anyway.
Twitter as of 17 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, 20th of August 2022, part 2. I had to end the first part like that because I meant to screenshot. Oh, I forgot I'm on YouTube. I meant to screenshot this, which I might as well read it out now. Meanwhile, the Legion of Grimm. Our enemies call us degenerate. Lex Luthor. The Priv, perverse Flash. The botched, the Twiddliness. We must silence them. Yes, Molestro. I tried to screenshot that using the screenshot button. But, and I've done this a couple times before, I accidentally hit the webcam button, thinking that it was a screenshot button. And like, I wasn't really naked or anything, but I didn't have any trousers on. So I just I continued the video, and like I said, I'll just edit it out, but I can't be bothered. I'm just gonna re-record it. So as for Dangerous, that guy, like Brooklyn Dad or whatever you call him, he was like, the Democrats are more dangerous now than the KKK ever was. Yeah, really? What has not the Democrats, the Republicans, what have the Republicans done in the past, say, like 48 hours that have prompted you to say this? And another thing that was trending was crap. I forget. I'm not gonna do these out. I'm just gonna scroll and see if I can find what it is. Something to help me remember. Nope, not there. I remember what it is now. It's basically don't go to the A&E because the winter crisis has come early. Well, considering that it's come in August, I would say it's it's worse than early. Can't really call it a winter crisis when it's happening at the end of summer, all throughout autumn, and into the winter. Anyway, Steve Carell's literally. Oh wait. So Stuss thinks that because he said Andrew Tate 2024, that's the reason why they banned Andrew Tate off of Facebook and Instagram. Steve Jobs literally died because he thought eating a fruit-based diet was going to give him better results and following his doctor ordered chemotherapy. Sam Harris blog is person. Why was because of this club was my chance of ever being in good standing in the revamped IDW. Shabbat Shalom closely banned Andrew Tate because he didn't want his hustle university creating other billionaires to compete with. Say it louder for the people in the back. Talking about She-Hulk. I'm not going to play the clip because I'll get copyrighted and I haven't seen the show yet. So I don't want spoilers, but I think what it's going to be is that basically, I'm a strong woman. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the whole reason they made the show. Yeah, but it's not the reason why they made the comic, considering the comic is older than, I don't know when She-Hulk was created, but it was decades ago. Recording today's video has been terrible. Because as I said at the start of the video, it started when I accidentally turned the webcam on instead of taking a screenshot. And then I paused it just then because my brother came and did his usual "I'm tired" joke. And after he went, I decided I was going to practice my Fury. And I didn't finish it because my dinner came. Then I had my dinner, went back to practicing my Fury. So I think that I got to was I read all this out. And what I was about to say was that Paul should not be talking about this because he knows nothing about superhero movies and shows because he doesn't like them. And I'm fine with the fact that he doesn't like them, but the fact that he doesn't like them and yet is talking about them. You're not going to watch it because it's superheroes. You don't like superheroes. That's fine. But because of that, you shouldn't be talking about it. Video shows Flash mob looters ransack 7-Eleven in LA. Yes, because it's LA. Last Bank accounts openly organised terrorist attacks against pregnancy resource centres. Andrew Tate says some edgy stuff online, yet one is allowed and one isn't. The 74% of people in the US no longer fully vaccinated. Every one of those persons should have one of three choices. One should be people and not persons. I'm going to assume that what has happened is that there's another booster shot out. But I don't know. 1. Prison for life. 2. Be hung for treason. 3. 1 to 5 years in prison if they change your mind and get vaccinated. We, the 26%, can run the country by ourselves. We don't need dangerous people in this country. I will happily take Pfizer's boosters for the years to come. I'm a survivor. You're a sheep. Redditor wants to hang 250 million Americans with the greatest sin of not being fully vaccinated after the CDC changed the definition of fully vaccinated. There's a Christian critique of Andrew Tate, namely that he's glamorized family status, wealth, and sex. There's no secular response. Society mocks male versions. The message is get laid, get paid. That's why he scrambled brains. He was a mirror to the world of what's valued. Wokeism makes women ugly, men weak, children confused, but business is broke, entertainment boring, schools dumb, scientists cowardly, activists rich, journalists unbelievable, and politicians interchangeable. You either die here, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Rage on, Rage of the Machine. So, Rage of the Machine, which you can tell just from the name that it's a very rebellious band. They have come out showing support for Roe v. Wade. They support Roe v. Wade. Like, they didn't like it being overturned. So they need to change the name of their band because it's hypocritical to be called Rage Against the Machine when you are the machine. If anyone was understand, we're organizing a protest in front of the Cloudflare office in San Francisco asking to draw Kiwi Farms as a customer. Please retweet if you have friends in the Bay Area who want to help. The far-left activists trying to get Kiwi Farms kicked off the internet. The internet forum site features threads, photos, and information about Antifa militants and other far-left extremists. And I crap, my phone's 5%. NHS spending taxpayer money on tea and hero cake, picnics, and special sessions by pronouncing the still claim is underfunded. Remember doing the rounds in DC that Trump had in his possession US intel on the G7 leaders same-sex extramarital lawnmowers? More sources have alleged recruited officers were directed to prioritise the placement of women and ethnic minorities in training courses in the year. As 31st March 2021, one of the sources alleged this has included bringing into the pipeline dozens of female and minority ethnic candidates early and paying them salaries earlier than the white counterparts. I'm gonna end here because 4%.
Yeah, I think that's as far as I got in the original video anyway. I don't think I've missed anything out, so yeah. Glad that this is finally over.